Blessings, everyone. Today I would like to offer, this is an oracle of the fairies. I love this deck because this beautiful oracle just embodies that very childlike innocence. It reminds us of the wonder. It reminds us of that moment when we play and we let the joy in. And it's so easy over time as we go on the journey to really convince ourselves that it has to be serious, to be spiritual. And the Fae are there to bring us back to dancing and music, the garden, to running barefoot on the grass or putting our feet in the sand. And this is something, sometimes it seems like such a simple reminder, but we get so lost in the day-to-day. And so today, working with the Fae, there is that sense of innate joy. First, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light. And I ask the fairies, please step forward and help bring a joyous message for our highest good. Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm just going to shuffle 3 times. The first one always embodies source energy. The second one is spirit, higher self. And the third one aligns the soul. That beautiful story, that magnificence, the masterpiece of who we are here. And I'm just going to kind of move this around a little bit. And the Fae they want me to take this one. Transformation. This fairy tells you to surrender to a transformation in your life that's happening for your highest good. Embrace your transformation. The best is yet to come. And then, as Fae energy moves forward, they're simply saying that as we transform, as we step into this space, it doesn't have to be so serious and heavy. That they understand that sometimes the unknown feels that way, that it feels serious because we're navigating something, uncharted waters, walking the path less traveled. And they're showing me the butterflies because that's a symbol for me in everything, the butterflies of change. But they want us to know that there is a difference between change and transformation. When we use the word transformation, we are stepping into a whole new level of being. This isn't just about what's within, but a transformation that creates a whole new experience of life itself. Change can come in many ways. It could come as something simple like trying a different color shirt or changing our job. But a transformation not only comes within on the soul level, but it transforms the outer version of us and our surroundings as well, because we are transforming our being. Transformation sometimes happens without our feeling that we've stepped into that space willingly. But the Fae want us to know that they're there supporting us through this. A transformative event is that indefinite knowing deep within our core that nothing from this point on can be the same. That familiarity has been complacency. And in order to evolve and expand our consciousness, our heart space, to turn experience into wisdom. Transformation is the way ahead. When we see this, the fairies are saying, in our seasons that change, we may be in a place in our beautiful world where the temperatures are moderate and stay the same all the time. But there are other aspects in nature, they're saying, that will transform. All we have to do is simply look at the geological patterns, whether it's rock formations or taking a drive somewhere we haven't been in the last few years and seeing how circumstance has changed a neighborhood. But transformation is the complete change from complacency, stagnation. Sometimes we mistake these spaces for a sense of comfort, for a sense of surrendering. And they want us to understand that in order to transform, the surrender has to be when the change ignites. Some people have had a spiritual transformation. They've had an out-of-body experience. And when they recognize what's happening, they understand that life from that point forward isn't going to be the same. Many have had a near-death experience. And that's the most powerful, because when we come back, we recognize what is. The difference between change and transformation, the Fae say, is that one is focused. Change is a focused choice. Change comes maybe location of where we're living. Sometimes change comes when we decide that we no longer fit in our hometown that we grew up in, and we want to strive for something more. So we get on a plane and we go to a different location and we start over again. We could change our mind. Something simple as we thought we wanted one thing for dinner and now we decided we want something else. That's change. Change in rules. Change in perception. But transformation begins with that spark within. Transformation comes when we recognize that the whole part of our being no longer serves what we're doing here. We found our purpose. And when we transform, we begin to make choices from a whole other perspective. We transform and we begin to resonate a different frequency. When we transform, we recognize our interconnectedness with everything. And we begin to step forward in this space. Transformation comes when we see clearly that everything, our belief systems, our health, our concepts, our ideas, our programming was never really serving us. And as we transform, the ignition is change. And sometimes it's something like a whole government system begins to change and then creates transformation. of the people around, the people in that area, in a whole culture. Transformation comes from the idea that the caterpillar understands that change is inevitable. It needs change. What it is no longer serves. So it steps into the space of transformation. Transformation is fully becoming what change has ignited. Transformation is the endless possibility. It's the surrender to the experience that helps us navigate what comes next. And what the Fae are saying is that when we think of the seasons and we think of the transformation that happens to the trees, if you've ever been to a place that experiences a cold winter, where all the leaves have gone through the autumn, where everything gets docile and quiet and goes into a profound hush, that is a transformation. We understand that this is a tree. And although it has surrendered the leaves, it's not transforming into a different part of nature. It still is what it is. But it's surrendering to the process. And when the time comes, in spring, when the tree is rejuvenated and it becomes alive again, everything about this tree is renewed. It has new leaves. It regains its water source. It's tapping into the ground so that it may gather its nutrients. And transformation invites us into a space of renewal. It's that space where we recognize co-creation. The Fae are saying many of us work with Divine Mother when it comes to this, when we've recognized that it's time for the transformation and we want to co-create. It's the becoming. It's that moment that we all recognize, I am that I am. It's being able to say, everything that got me up to this point now had a divine purpose. When we're in the midst of change, whether it's warranted change where we've invited it, or it seems like circumstance has brought us into that space of change, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will transform us. We may still keep the same concepts, the same belief systems, the same ideas. And so change could be very specific in nature. But when we're transformed and we look in the mirror, we're seeing every moment that led up to that point. And then we're surrendering and allowing it to take us into a space that we have not been. We're inviting new versions of ourselves. We're broadening our consciousness so that we may see different opportunities, different perspectives. Transformation is a complete overhaul of our whole life, our existence. Sometimes the transformation is subtle. And we don't recognize in that very moment what's just occurred. until circumstances do come our way and we realize that we're not doing what we used to do. We're not saying what we used to say. We've expanded the consciousness in the heart space and we're not feeling the same feelings we used to feel. And this is beautiful. And the Fae are bringing this message because they want us to dance with this. That life is this beautiful symphony. And that we have the wings of transformation. And we have the ability to recognize the moment when we're teetering. Like the child. They see the mud puddle and they want to jump in and they want to play. But they're not sure. They don't know what maybe the parents are going to say, or if the mud is going to be as fun as what it looks like. And so many times we've come to that edge of the mountain. Do we jump? So many times we've been brought through a spiritually transformative event, whether it's we've had a healing session of some sort, and it's awakened something within us that we're not the same, or whether we've come into a space where we fully surrendered to some sort of joy. Maybe we've been on a vacation. We realize what we've been doing is just been causing us stress and chaos, and our whole life is revamped from that point. Sometimes it's the loss of a loved one, and it puts us in that space. And we'll never be the same after that. Everything transforms within us. But the Fae are saying it's up to us how we want the symphony to go. We are the creators. We are the masterpieces of our own design. We are here to play and experience and express. Because we know change is inevitable. Let's recognize this moment of transformation. And it's okay. Everything that brought us up to that point, when it's life-altering. Sometimes it's the joy of something. Sometimes we had a dream come true. Our whole life is about to change, and now we're living the dream. We have to allow the transformation to flow with it. Because they say, that they are reminding me, this joyous energy, that it wouldn't have been worth it if it didn't change something. If it didn't transform us in some way. Why did we step into that space? Sometimes people will be the ones to recognize first, wow, you're really different. Something has changed within you. They see the transformation. Sometimes it's very drastic. It could be we began a health regime that made our bodies healthier, and now we're living a lifestyle that we never thought we would be able to achieve. Everything is different from that space. We make different choices of eating. We make different choices of our physical. We make different choices of our holistic care. Our spirit feels different because it's lighter and resonating achievement and purpose within ourselves. There's a self-love that we may have never known. All of these things the Fae want us to enjoy and dance with. They're pulling their energy back. That's a beautiful message today. Sometimes things seem so confusing or convoluted on the journey, and we're not sure. Different terminologies, different phrasings. We all have our way of expressing these things. Words are just play here. They're energies that we try to use to express our personality, our experience, our light, and our love. And whether we like to embrace the word of transformation and see that as a whole of a life, or we like to use the word change because we're speaking of something very specific, the Fae want us to know that it's how we embrace this journey, how we learn to surrender, and how we learn to find the joy in every experience. Because Earth School is not easy, and there's moments when we break. There's moments when we get angry, we cry, the whole spectrum. But the transformation at the end of all of the experience is what helps us assimilate all of it through the heart space into the wisdom that we carry from many, many lifetimes. So much love, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to bring this message. Beautiful blessings.